Apple just embedded AI into your iPhone's core apps, and it isn't a chatbot but a silent, omnipresent helper. We'll unpack what that means for your products and how it changes user expectations. We're also looking at a surprising policy move that could reshape the EdTech market and how a major sports association is leveraging AI for high stakes accuracy. No BS AI briefing brought to you by Proactive AI. Welcome back. I'm your host Vikas Sharma, and this is where builders get straightforward AI news without the fluff. All right, let's dive in. We've got some really high signal items this week, especially if you're building for mobile. First up, a big one from Cupertino. Apple is reportedly integrating AI deeply across iOS 27, and crucially, they're doing it without a public API. This comes from TechCrunch, reported on June 21st, 2026. What happened is Apple's baking AI directly into core system apps like automated bill splitting directly from photos of receipts or seamlessly updating passwords across services. You'll see context aware suggestions popping up in messages, AI powered call screen integration with mail, and natural language calendar creation that just understands your intent. Even Safari tab organization and home app notification grouping are getting AI driven enhancements. And the key here, all this processing happens right on your device. There's no cloud dependency for these features. For builders, this is a pretty significant shift. Platform level invisible AI like this is going to fundamentally reset user expectations for what their apps should just do for them. Users will expect more ambient intelligence, more things just happening in the background without them needing to prompt anything. But the twist is that because there's no public API, third-party apps can't directly hook into these new system-level AI capabilities, at least not yet. So your app now has to compete with intelligence that's baked into the OS itself, validating this idea of ambient AI that works silently, almost magically in the background. It forces you to think about what unique value you bring when the operating system is doing so much heavy lifting. Next, a very different kind of headline, but strategically important. The NYC Council is pushing for an AI moratorium in public schools. The Washington Post reported this on June 21st, 2026. What happened is a majority of the New York City Council is putting pressure on Mayor Zohran Mamdani to implement an immediate ban on AI use in public schools. This stems from a letter earlier in June from a group called ClassSizeMatters.org raising concerns about AI in classrooms. This isn't just a minor local skirmish, it's the first time a major US city is seriously considering such a broad sector-wide ban on AI. Why this matters for builders, especially those in EdTech, is because it signals a very real, localized political risk that could easily spread to other cities or even states. If NYC, one of the biggest school systems in the country, goes this route, it could significantly reshape the EdTech market and certainly impact investor appetite for AI-driven education solutions. As a builder, you've got to start planning for potential restrictions on how you collect data, how you deploy your models, and what features you can actually roll out in major markets. Are you thinking about the regulatory surface area of your product, even at the city level? Because this suggests you really need to be. And finally, something a bit more positive on the application front. The USGA, that's the US Golf Association, deployed AI for rules interpretation and fan engagement at the US Open. NBC News covered this on June 21st, 2026. What happened is they launched Rules AI, which is a specialized chatbot trained on over 25,000 expert Q&A pairs to help players, officials, and fans navigate the notoriously complex rules of golf. Alongside that, they introduced Shortcast and Rangecast, which provide real-time AI-generated visuals and analytics for every shot. Crucially, these systems include human-in-the-loop safeguards to ensure accuracy, and they were trained on very domain-specific curated data. For builders, this is a fantastic case study. It demonstrates how to successfully deploy high-stakes domain-specific AI, especially in fields where accuracy is absolutely critical. The fact that they used curated expert data and human oversight provides a clear blueprint for products operating in regulated industries or any area where factual correctness is non negotiable. It also validates a narrow AI strategy, meaning building highly specialized models for specific problems over trying to force a general purpose model into every context. This isn't a chatbot trying to write a novel, it's a chatbot answering a very specific set of complex questions with high precision. Alright, for our deep dive today, we're going to really focus on that first story. Apple's invisible AI strategy and what it truly means for app developers and anyone building products for the iOS ecosystem. What happened is Apple, with iOS 27, is fundamentally shifting AI from being something you interact with explicitly, like a chatbot, to something that just works in the background, woven directly into core system apps. We're talking about features like automated bill splitting, password updates, and intelligent scheduling that happen without you ever opening an AI app or typing a prompt. It's embedded directly into mail messages, calendar, Safari, and the home app. And as we mentioned, the significant detail here is that there's no public API for third party apps to hook into this new intelligence layer. It's all happening on device, emphasizing privacy and speed. This is Apple's signature AI that just works approach, but it's now deeply integrated into the OS itself. Why this matters right now is because it represents a profound change in user expectations and the competitive landscape for almost every app builder. For years, consumer AI has been largely conversational or a standalone feature you opt into. Apple's move makes AI ambient, a seamless utility. Think about how the iPhone's built in camera transformed photography. People didn't need to carry a separate point and shoot camera anymore because their phone just did it. Now, common utility tasks that many apps currently handle, from expense tracking to smart notifications to content organization, are becoming system level features. This isn't just an incremental update, it's a platform shift that will force every developer to reassess their product's core value proposition. So, who should really care about this? Well, pretty much anyone building for mobile. But let's get specific. Founders and product managers. You absolutely need to understand how your product fits into an operating system that's increasingly automating core utility tasks. Are your features now redundant, or can they complement and build on this new ambient intelligence? This forces a strategic rethink. What's your unique data, your unique workflow, your unique insight that Apple can't easily replicate at the OS level? Engineering leaders in the emphasis on device inference and privacy is now table stakes. If your architecture is entirely cloud dependent, you might face latency and data trust issues that make your app feel slow or less private compared to system apps. You'll need to start thinking about efficient on device ML models and hybrid approaches. Oh, indie hackers. If you're building niche utility apps, you're in a tough spot. How do you compete with deeply integrated OS features that are essentially free and baked in? The opportunity shifts to highly specialized tools that either leverage unique data sources or provide a depth of functionality that the OS, by its nature, won't address. How I think about this as a builder is to draw an analogy to previous platform shifts. Remember when smartphones first came out and suddenly the built in calendar and contacts apps were good enough, or when Google Maps became ubiquitous? Many dedicated calendar apps or GPS devices had to pivot or die. Apple's invisible AI is doing the same for a new layer of utility. The opportunity here is to focus on domain specific, high value problems that require a level of context or integration beyond what Apple will offer. Think about highly specialized vertical SaaS or tools that synthesize data from many different external sources, not just what's on the phone. The risk, of course, is that if your app's core value is simply automating a common task, you could find yourself commoditized by the OS itself. What you should probably ignore is the hype about Apple suddenly catching up in the raw LLM race. That's not what this is about. This is about integration and utility, making AI so seamless you barely notice it. My no BS take on this is simple. This isn't just marketing fluff. Apple is strategically owning the ambient intelligence layer within its ecosystem. They're making AI a core utility, not just a feature. This puts direct pressure on third party app developers to find new levels of differentiation and value, or risk having their core features simply absorbed by the OS. It's real, it's coming, and it will change how users perceive what an app should do for them. If you want one practical takeaway from today's episode, especially in light of Apple's ambient AI push, here it is: audit your app for invisible AI readiness. This isn't just a thought experiment, it's a proactive step to ensure your product remains relevant and differentiated. Here's how to try it in under 60 minutes. 1. Map your core workflows. Grab your product team or even just a whiteboard. List your app's top 3 to 5 core workflows that involve common utility tasks like data extraction, text summarization, scheduling, smart notifications, or content organization. Think about what your users do most often. 2. To assess system overlap. For each of those workflows, ask yourselves if iOS 27's new ambient AI features like automated bill splitting, context aware messages suggestions, or natural language calendar creation became free, reliable, and deeply integrated. Could they handle this workflow automatically or automate a significant part of it? Be honest. Where do Apple's examples directly or indirectly compete with your functionality? 3. They identify new value. Now, for the features or workflows that might be at risk, brainstorm how your app can pivot. Can you provide deeper insights that the OS can't? More granular control, integrate with specific enterprise systems, or perhaps connect with social networks or niche data sources that Apple won't touch. The goal is to identify complementary value your app can add or completely new features that leverage these underlying OS capabilities instead of competing with them. Why this specific experiment is worth your time right now is because ignoring this shift means you risk being blindsided. By proactively auditing your product, you can start strategizing today on how to either differentiate, pivot, or build on top of this new ambient intelligence layer, rather than having your core features slowly rendered obsolete. It's about adapting to the future of platform level AI. That's it for today's No BS AI briefing. If this helped, follow the show in your podcast app and share it with one builder you know. And if you've got questions or topics you want covered, connect with me on LinkedIn and send them over. See you in the next briefing.